I'm Gaynor. I'm a husband, father, former baseball player, and now banker. So the gifts and talents that God's blessed me with, I think for everybody that's really hard to discern. At various times of your life, you might feel like you have this gift and not that one, and maybe that's different later. But I've always had an evangelist heart and spirit. I find myself in a lot of conversations about the faith and about my relationship with Jesus. So I would say, the gift of sharing, of trying to be an evangelist everywhere I go, whether that's through actions or actual conversations. But it is odd when you look back. It's easier to see things in hindsight, but different relationships God puts in your life, and different ways to be used, and also the times maybe that we were called to do something and didn't, and obviously that's like the sin of omission. But I would say the gift that the Lord's given me is just proclaiming His message, and I have a heart for telling everyone about the joy and peace that Christ gives all of us. On my better days, I see work as a path to holiness, and the goodness and the gift that work is. In the very beginning, Adam worked, and work sometimes we believe is a burden. But a lot of literature's come out, and Pope Francis has talked about this a lot, in the holiness of work. Jesus himself was a carpenter. His father Joseph was a carpenter. Work is good, and to lead to holiness, for a guy, I think a lot of problems we see now are young men struggling to find their purpose. So to have that hill to climb every day, to have a goal in mind, whenever I'm coaching a little league team or just talking to a young baseball player, that purpose is good. Like to have a goal is a good thing. And work, I see a lot in the same way. We have the purpose to go out and live for the Lord and to do His will and to bring heaven to earth. But also we're called to work. And the way I see that is every day when you wake up and you go to work, offering that up to the Lord. Like, I'm going to do a good job. I talk to my kids all the time about being disciplined. What are you doing when nobody's watching you? And those are the different lessons that if we don't get too fast on the hamster wheel of just making it through each day, and you step back, you can see those moments where we're being called to holiness through work and through the relationships of people around us. I was reading, and Nina, my wife, and I were talking one evening about how terrible it is to complain, because really we're saying to God, what you've given me is not good enough. This situation's not fair. Jealousy towards others or what they've achieved and what we haven't achieved, or our failures, all these different things. So in our culture, everywhere we go, it's cool to complain. It's what people want to talk about. How's your day going? Well, my day's great. How's yours? Well, today's been terrible. And then here's why. Because this is stupid, and they're making me do this. And that really bleeds into the workforce. And I think everyone that has a job understands what I'm talking about. So for me, whenever I look at taking Christ into the workplace, one of the easiest ways and most obvious all at the same time is to be grateful, to have a positive attitude, to have that joy that's unending. And I'm not downplaying the fact that if you're at work, maybe you don't want to be there at that moment. Maybe there are some challenges there. But I think we all understand that in our normal conversations with people, it's easy to slide down that path misery loves company, and just to have those conversations, and it's always negative. Our words are so powerful, and God's given us this power to speak life or to speak death. And every time we complain, it's really a habit. We get in a habit of complaining, and really we're doing well. We're okay, but those conversations to join in and complain are easier than the ones that I think we're called to have, which is to be people of joy. The fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, and goodness, gentleness, self-control, all those different things. And really, we need to speak that into existence and not, the opposite of those things. I complain. Everybody complains. But to be conscious of that and make a real effort, this week I'm not going to complain. I'm going to be positive regardless of what's happening. And I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to do it well, and hopefully be that light of Christ to someone who's watching, because somebody's always watching. The Eucharist is vital for everything we're talking about for me. My wife and I are converts. So in 2017, we converted to Catholicism, and what led us here was the Eucharist. We were fundamentalist, and I was reading the Bible nonstop, and the bread of life in John 6 just kept calling out to me, and I started looking into that. And the Lord really drew us to the Eucharist. So since 2017, I can't imagine going without the Eucharist, because it's just a beautiful thing. We can't understand the mysteries of God. It's laughable. But He comes to us humble and simple in ways we understand in the sacraments. Through the church and the priest and the sacraments, we are literally filled with Jesus. So then our cup overflows, and we can go out into the workforce and be that light and to be set apart. And for people to say, I want what they have. That's the whole goal. We all want to get to heaven, obviously. But when I hear what's the main point, get to heaven, absolutely. And for my children and everybody I know. But I want to bring people with me. So Jesus gives us the Eucharist, gives us confession, gives us all the sacraments, baptism, all these sacraments, so that we can live in such a way to be a light. And then if we're at work for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day, why are we there? Are we there to get a job done? Sure. Do we have to have money to live? Absolutely. But what a thought to think God put everybody around you there for a reason. For you to be used by Almighty God to show them the joy in a different way of living. In the Eucharist, it's consistent. We can take it every day. It's always there. And I think all of us, if we're being honest, if we fall away for a little while, we miss that. And that's why I was excited about this topic, because if you think of work as a necessary evil, I could see that. But if you change your perspective to where work is the place God's called me to be, to take care of my family, He's given me what I need to survive, and also placed people around me that I am certain He wants to impact. He's calling everybody's heart to Him all the time. So it's kind of overwhelming. And it takes you from a place of clock in, clock out to a mission field, which is totally different. And then also gives you joy. We have that need to get something done that day, to have a goal to achieve. But while we're doing that, we're called to be the light of Christ to everybody around us.